Hello, and welcome to Young Global Leaders, where we get the chance to hear from young people hailing from all around the world, sharing about themselves, their accomplishments, and their vision for a better world. Recently, I had the privilege of leading a group of about 100 young people from over 40 countries to 7 global regions on an 8-month global gap year program. Most of them had just graduated from high school, though we also had a few older students. During our 8+ months together, the students formed a deeply loving and supportive community. Anyone could see that they had built something unique and inspiring. Through my eyes as a teacher, coach, and global leadership consultant, what I saw was unlike anything I'd seen before. When the program ended, I desperately wanted to keep in touch with these students and to share their example with the world. So I started the Young Global Leaders podcast. Today, we hear from Hanbin Yang. Okay, Yang Hanbin, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jason, for inviting me.
Of course, I really enjoyed getting to know you over the course of our adventure together, our global adventure that we had. I really was happy to have the chance to get to know you a little bit, and I want our listeners to have a chance to get to know you a little bit. So I really appreciate you making the time to speak with us. And just to get right into it, my first question for you is, can you tell everybody where you are right now? Where are you joining us from today?
Actually, I'm at the Urumqi city. It's the capital city of Xinjiang Autonomous Area. It's kind of the border of China, but a very beautiful city, very beautiful area. Yeah, I was like doing a teaching coursework here. I was teaching physics competition to the 10th grade high school students. They are in the best high school in this area. Yeah.
Nice. I visited Urumqi once in 2006.
Whoa.
I brought a group of students there. I was running the study abroad program based at Beida at Peking University, which is your university.
Ah,
And
okay.
we were, our academic system was quarters. So every quarter we took a trip somewhere. And in fall of 2006, we went out to Urumqi. And I just loved it. I thought it was such an interesting city. It felt very much like I imagined like the Silk Road would feel, because of course it was part of the Silk Road. It felt like
Mm-hmm.
a crossroads. Like you saw people from so many different countries
Yeah.
speaking so many different languages, all coming together in this one place. And I loved my visit there. Have you been there before? Is this your first time visiting Urumqi?
Yeah, talking of the Silk Road, actually, Silk Road begins at my hometown. It's Xi'an. Yeah,
Hmm.
its ancient name is Chang'an. The beginning of Silk Road is my hometown. And of course, yeah, Silk Road passes Urumqi, and I have been to Urumqi before. It's, I think, 2 years ago,
Mm.
the summer of 2023. A group of our some friends and I, we were like taking a bicycle trip here from Duzhanzi to Kuche. It's called like the Duku road trip, one of the
Mm.
most beautiful and most famous road trip in China. And it only opens from June, the middle of June to the beginning of the, I think beginning of the October, because only
Mm.
during this time the weather is hot enough to melt the snow to make it safe for cars and bicycles pass by, and it's really beautiful. Actually, now the profile photo of my WeChat is still the photo I take with the snow mountain, me and the snow mountain. Yeah, I love this Xinjiang, this place so much.
Mm. So this is something you did on bicycle?
Yeah, it's a bicycle trip, and when it's the weather is too cold and the snow, there's like snow everywhere, we couldn't get on our journey, and we have to rest for a day.
Sounds like an absolutely amazing journey on bicycle that you took. My next question for you, Hanbin, is what makes you you?
Yeah, that's a hard question. It's like hearing that question, it kind of like needs a person to look back on his or her whole life and to
Mhm.
get an answer. Um, so so the first few words came out of my mind would be like my past experiences, my memories, the friends, the person I stay with at some like meaningful moments, or the books I have read, the music I have listened to. But after all these words, coming out of my brain. I would like
Mhm.
to say if something happened to my brain suddenly, that something like washed out of my brain and my memory just got lost. What if like some parts like my childhood memories got lost, my memory with uh, a few people got lost, and am I still myself? I would ask that questions to me. So I would say that with that with that all the memories, past experiences, I'm myself. Without any part of them, I'm not myself. But still, I think there are something consistent or coherent, even without the complete memories. If under that circumstance, under that context, I would say a willpower makes me myself. That
Mm.
that willpower called uh, a relentless will to ask why and to figure out why. So I know sometimes a simple sentence, a neat sentence, a handsome sentence, is not the big picture, is not the meaning of it. Sometimes what really important is how to explain this. So I would explain it a little bit more. I would say that sometimes I feel like it's not just about like intellectual. I would like to know the math, the physics, how to build this objective word. Sometimes it's more about like sincerity. So I once been interested in anthropology and sociology before. At that time, I found that it's very easy for us to find sometimes people just wear different personality masks to engage in different social environments. And that's not like sincere with like a very absolute perspective. So it's a weird thing that sometimes people could only get sincere when they are engaged in some like called artistic movements or meaningful movements or spiritual movements. So I would say that I'm still in a stage that I would like to make my life, make my time, make my experiences more engaged in with such time that I would say like meaningful or the times that you will not be regretful for. So I think what explain ask why and figure out why. I think love and art explains
Mm.
ask why and figure out why. It's like love is like all about the human connections, and art almost explains everything, involves everything. Yeah,
That's a beautiful answer, and I think just based on my experience of you, uh, it feels very very accurate. My experience of you is endless curiosity, and
thank you.
and
Yeah,
passionate curiosity, and a lot of love. So that really comes through.
thank you for yeah. Also, I think when talking about like the love, the connections, I still like kind of think of you because during our whole all the past career, I think we had some like meaningful moments, some meaningful conversations. I cherish them a lot. Thank you. Yeah.
I do too. I do too. And I also, for our listeners, I one of the things that I did during the year was I had the opportunity to teach introductory Mandarin Chinese to a number of our students, and you and Dennis, another student from China, were extremely generous in helping me and introducing a lot of linguistic material, but also cultural material from the standpoint of somebody, native speaker of the language and somebody from the culture as well. And so I think your knowledge, curiosity, and passion really showed through, and was very helpful to me and also to our students. So I want to thank you for that too. And some of my happiest memories from the year are from the time that we had together teaching that class.
Thank you. I'm glad.
Hmm.
I'm glad it worked. There are some kind of helpful. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
Hmm. The next question I
Beautiful.
have for you is just a little bit more about the context for how we know each other. Is we
Yeah.
were
Sure.
we were participants in this global adventure. What can
hmm
you tell our listeners about this adventure that you were on?
So actually, uh, this program actually called Burry Scholars is named after the first woman who traveled around the world. But actually, I think the first time I was impressed by the word scholars because I think it's kind of want to show its characteristic as an educational program. So they want to entitle our students, name our students scholars. But after all this journey, I questioned uh, this word a little bit
Mm,
more because I would like to think, is that something like you? Is that like also? I admit that there are different kinds of education. They're not just like academic education. But after all this year, I look back on this year, I was still asking myself, am I doing something like extremely relevant to like scholars, or what's the most valuable thing I gained from this experience? Is that like would fit the stereotype or people's impressions on the word scholars? I would say no. Actually, I don't think this. Sometimes I would say this program fits buried artists more like more appropriate or buried buried workers or some kind of more I don't know more like they stand on the dirt of this world. Yeah, because because one of our students from this program, her name is uh Sarah, and she got like a whole collection of postcards and different art designs. And in on one of the postcard, she said that the scholar has such intellectual will to explore and to figure out why. I would like to ask. Sometimes I think during my this year, I was just like there to experience. I was kind of intentionally hold myself for like analyzing, for thinking what's going on. I'm just there to try to engage in the moment, engage in the present. And I think that's still very, very valuable. So back to the question, if I have something to introduce to the listeners, I think if you ever had some like dreams about traveling the world, because of course I did, then you have the chance, you have the opportunity to fulfill it, to make it come true in a way, in some way. Maybe after this whole year, you will find like some part of your dream is better than imagination, and some part of it is worse than imagination. But I think that's the power of reality. That's the power of your confidence in reality. It's not something like completely out of your mind. It's conceptual. It's just like from the people, the environment, the culture you have touched, you have smelled. And I think that's kind of like the best, the ultimate explanation or introduction I could make. Yeah.
mm. Uh, could you share a specific story or an example from your travels of you just mentioned smells, for example, and you also mentioned that sometimes sometimes reality exceeds expectations, like is beyond your dreams, and sometimes it doesn't match your dreams. So actually, there's a lot there. Let me ask you a more specific question.
hmm
Can you share an example of the program exceeding your dreams, like going beyond your dreams?
I think that's about like the South America part. Because before
Mm.
this program, when we did our interview, a very committee will ask us a question as which part of this journey you are looking forward the most? And I said like Brazil, South America. And when I got there, I think it's beyond my expectation. And now I would still tell my friends if I ever had the vacation and all the free money and time, I would still pick South America as my destination. The first reason I said before I went to Beret because I had some Latino friends when we were in South Africa, this previous program before Beret, and I found like my energy feel really fits with these guys, and I really love their enthusiastic culture. But after I really got there, I found for example, Rio it's like the weekend trip. I took a weekend trip with Kathy together to Rio. And Rio is my one of my favorite cities during this whole year because like first of all, Rio is dangerous. I think the first news we got after we landed in Brazil is that there's a news about like some people they robbed the bus in Rio with gun. They forced it to the ghetto, and they robbed all the passengers on the bus. So the first impression I had for Rio is dangerous, and but I kind of like it because because doing this whole like traveling around the world thing is it's much about just going out of your comfort zone. And I think Beret told us some theories about like the comfort zone, challenging zone, and the panic zone. But at that time, I didn't believe it because I think there's no chance such thing as panic zone. I could do anything in the world. That time, what's crossed my mind is that, yeah. But after this whole year, yeah, I could understand the um, like more subtle meaning of it. Sometimes it's not just about the danger. Sometimes it's just about something you didn't expect before. For example, I think Europe is more like my panic zone compared uh, to South America because of some other reasons. Yeah, it's not just about the dangers and how it's different from your previous context and environment. It's more about just a feeling. Yeah, you just
Mm.
got panicked under some like very weird moments. It's very hard to tell the reason at that time, but you're panicked. Yeah. So back to the South America. First, the Rio gives me an impression of it's a dangerous city. After that, Cassie and I lived in a hostel. We stayed in a hostel, and there are so many free lessons happening in that hostel. For example, dancing lessons, singing lessons. We could like engaging with the local people, with also the travelers from all around the world. And the teachers there, they are like the locals. So they are very real, they're very enthusiastic. They feel like they just jump out of kind of like the forest and to teach us how to dance to get a tiger here. That's so cool. That's so cool. I think the dance I learned dance like everywhere in the world, but the dance I learned from Rio is like most they are most ambitious. I think they're most ample different. They're the most different. I could learn Australian dance. I could learn Asian dance. I could learn like Indian dance. Uh, they are very they like dancing and like dancing in different styles. Also in Rio, I went to a very good Blue Note music bar. I enjoyed the best jazz performance ever. The the vocalist is just a I don't know. I don't know her name before. I just walked in that bar like randomly, and the reception gave me and Cassie a perfect promotion, like 50%, because like not enough people there. And we got our best music live performance there. Also, I met my previous friends in Rio, and she taught me about it's a dangerous place, but it's very so beautiful, and it's still her favorite city. And I could say like people walking on the streets, they all look very beautiful. I mean, for men or women, and they wear shorts. They don't have like long clothes to cover their body, and also because I at that time I was fascinated by different kinds of music from different parts of the world. For that period of time, I love jazz music, and there's a lot of great jazz music from Latino continent, and I learned a lot about it. Also, a lot of songs are inspired by Rio, the city, the scenes, the people there, and I would feel like oh, it's like walking a movie on the streets of Rio. It's like walking a movie. Yes, and it's very hard to tell why it is so fascinating. Why it is so fascinating for me. But I just feel like I just like the atmosphere. Sometimes I would like to answer I answer something more. ahead. It's like I think the biggest difference for me after this whole year is that sometimes my words and my status is more close to what I think is artistic status
Mm,
before a state before. So sometimes it's hard for me to because before this whole Burberry year, I was a physics student, undergraduate student in Peking University, and I learned physics. I got gold medal in physics Olympic competitions. I used to analyze things like from a very I don't know, structured way, or I have a scientific approach, point of view of different that sets of problems. But after all this year, sometimes it's I would like to use some more spiritual words, artistic words to describe something. I don't know what the hell of it. For example, here, when it's talking about like why I like Rio, I would like so all the sentences I put forward before are all like it's all my feelings. For example, the first word that came out of the mind, dangerous. The
mm,
second word maybe the beautiful. The third word maybe is it could it's very it has different dances, it has different musics. Yeah, it's very diversified. Yeah, but they are not like the structured reasons or answers. They're just my feelings, my experiences as I get approach to this city. It has a timeline behind it. Yeah. So I think that's my maybe my biggest change, and I'm
mm,
very glad to see it because I used to think I used to think that the scientific approach, scientific point of view, maybe restricted me somehow. I don't know what it is, but I feel restricted. I feel like I want also to I also want to be um experiencing the movement Kanye West has experienced it before. I want to know how it feels like. I want to know how artists were doing, how they are feeling when they expressing themselves very freely and very creatively. Yeah, that's a very long
mm.
answer. Sorry. Back to
No,
you,
that's
Jason.
perfect. No, I really appreciate you sharing all of that. And I think there's so much in there to
Mhm,
unpack. The
mhm,
first thing that comes to mind for me is uh, I appreciate how you took on this experience in such a complete and full way, the way you threw yourself in to these opportunities that the program presented. I mean,
mhm.
for me personally, this hearing you share the way that you just shared is exactly why I love this kind of education so much. Uh, I mean, I love the classroom. I love intellectual
Mm.
conversations. Obviously, science, everything in STEM is so incredibly important for lots and lots and lots and lots of reasons. And,
Yeah.
and, the classroom, I think, regardless of whether it's STEM or whether it's philosophy, whatever it is that we're doing in the classroom, important and also limited. And there's so much to be gained by going out into the world and having these very, very real and deep and visceral bodily kinds of experiences like you're describing in Rio. And there's so much mystery to it. That's what I love about it too, is
Hmm.
it's really hard. I'm picking up from you, it's hard to pinpoint exactly why you love the energy of Rio so much, but you do. And that just the way
Yeah.
that opens up the mind and the heart to so many more questions. Uh,
Yeah.
and they're also interesting. So thank you so much for sharing about all of that. And it actually, speaking of the full range of human experience, you mentioned early in your response that Europe was, you talked about the comfort zone, learning zone, panic zone. That Europe for you was much more of a, despite the inherent risks and dangers associated with Rio, that Europe was more of a panic zone place for you. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's more about when I was because I've never been to I've never been to America, I've never been to South America, I've never been to Europe before Beret. So all I had was something like stereotype or some things from videos. So what I used to think Europe is kind of like, oh, they are the poor part of the whole Western civilizations. They must be very glorious, and it has all the good things about the Western civilizations. But after I got there, I found, yeah, still the Paris is a movable feast. It has so many great arts, but sometimes I feel a little bit bored. It's like when I was in Switzerland, I had a friend there, and she let me stay in her house for 2 nights. It's a weekend, also a weekend trip. When I was in Switzerland, she drove me on the hills of Switzerland. Switzerland is a very beautiful city. It's like a fairyland. I would say that not surprised why so many rich people and scientists and writers they choose Switzerland to live. But just when I was on the hill of Switzerland, a thought crossed my mind. I'm so glad it's not my dream life. So I don't need to pay that much to get a house here. Yeah. Yeah, I'm so glad it's not my dream life to have a house in such a beautiful and peaceful place. I'm so glad it's not my dream. It's not my dream life because I need to pay a lot of money and almost like take all my life to earn a house here. I'm so glad for that. Yeah. It's just like I feel like the stillness, the peace, and the how do I say, a peaceful beauty lying there. I could admire it, but I don't want to be surrounded by it for a period of time. I feel like the way like South America it shows maybe it's disorganized somehow in communities, but it makes it very lively. Like everyone like plays a real part of it, and their mind, their actions made a real influence on it, and we could see it like immediately. And when we were in Brazil, it's like a local restaurant, and someone just drop a a laptop there and play the music, and everyone in that restaurant they dance off
Mm,
their
mm.
tables. That shocked me a lot, and I didn't hesitate a moment. I joined them for the whole dance, and my friends videoed that. I love that moment. That thing so much. But I think in Europe, especially in Switzerland, it's very hard to imagine in a restaurant a customer suddenly play the music. I think he will be um be out of this restaurant very soon. Yeah, yeah. So I feel like I was panicked actually at the end of the Europe because we had a fellowship at the end of every region, every part. My fellowship is Italy. Actually, I had very great fantasies about Italy before, but after I got there, when I was in Venice, I found that it used to be a very beautiful city, and a lot of interesting people lived here. But when I came there, all I see was just empty house with almost all the apartments there, almost all the houses there are changed into stores to sell things to the tourists, to the visitors.
Mm.
So Venice is not that kind of like a city has a community. It's just about like a tourist city. And I don't like that. And now it also makes this city feels very still. It's very simple. It's just like when you show me a question, it's like, do you want to live in Rio or work in Rio? I would definitely say yes. I want to live or work in Rio for a time. But Venice or Switzerland, some parts in Europe, I would say no. I'm just like take a trip there for a weekend. Oh, that's the most. Yeah. So that actually panicked me a little bit. Yeah.
Excellent.
Mm.
Uh, so interesting. So interesting. And what I love about what you're sharing is how you went into this aware of your pre-existing ideas about these places and
Hmm.
how open you were throughout the year towards relearning or
Hmm.
even
Yeah.
unlearning, right? Because that's such an
Unlearning.
we miss that so much. We when we talk about typically when we talk about learning and education, and we're talking about something like classroom education, where you're adding knowledge, you're learning things, you're answering questions. And what I'm hearing from
Yeah.
you, and again, that's super important. I don't want to say anything that devalues that. I mean, knowledge is so crucial for our progress as a species. And what often gets missed is the value of unlearning and the value of opening up questions and not necessarily ever finding definitive answers to questions. And I'm really feeling that in how you're sharing about this. uh,
Hmm.
all of these ways in which, I mean, and you've only talked about, Rio and Switzerland and Venice, and of course you went to so many more places than that. But even in those few
Hmm.
places, I'm just so appreciating your openness to unlearning as well as learning.
I like that word. That's actually the first time I heard that word from English context, but I love that word, unlearning. Yeah. Sometimes I think our mind was exploded with so many different thoughts, knowledge, perspectives, and from the very young age of me, I would ask my parents. Sometimes I found like different knowledge or different proverbs they contradict. I would ask them because there are two things in China. One is if you want to make something big, you don't need to focus on the details. 成
Hmm.
大事者不拘小节.
Hmm.
And the other thing is called uh, the winning or the failure depends on the details. 细节决定成败.
Mm, mm.
And I was so confused at that time. I was so confused. I was like, so at that time, I was just asking my mom. It's like, so what is details?
Yeah, tell me the truth.
What yeah,
Mm.
what role does detail play in my life? How could I treat it? Should I treat it like importantly and with intention, or should I just throw it away because I want to do something big? Yeah.
How did your mom respond?
And I forgot. I don't. I don't think she answered my question because I forgot that completely. Yeah.
No, I love that example.
So.
Actually, and I have a couple of thoughts on this. Because
Hmm.
I my graduate school training is in linguistics, and
Hmm.
there's a particular kind of linguistics that I was trained in, and there was a class where we were looking at metaphors, and the question that we asked our students to reflect on and write about was there. So there's these two expressions in English:
Hmm.
many hands make light work. So that is, if
Ah.
you have a lot of people helping, that's good because it makes everyone's job easier. Then you
Hmm.
have another expression which is too many cooks spoil the broth. So
Yeah.
you're making soup. You only want one
Hmm.
cook doing. You don't want all these. So how can both of those be true? And it
Yeah.
was such an interesting conversation, and such
Hmm.
interesting responses from the students. And really, what the I don't want to say that we reached any definitive answers, but one of the factors is context.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to have just one person in charge, and sometimes it's better to have a whole bunch of people contributing. Um,
Yeah.
and so I wonder if it's similar with these two Chinese expressions that it just
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
depends on the context.
Yeah. 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 Also, I would like to say that we have the same contradict and impressions on the examples you presented. It's
Mm.
called like 众人拾柴火焰高 and 三个和尚没水喝. Yeah, yeah. It's also about like when you add more people, will the things go smoother or more successfully? Yeah,
There was a
but yeah, yeah.
三个和尚没水喝,
三个和尚没水喝.
so three
Yeah,
monks have no water to
no
drink.
water to drink. Yeah, yeah. It's like if you have one monk, then he would 一个和尚 抬水喝. We would to get water like from to hold the bucket, yeah,
Mm,
to
hmm,
get the
hmm,
water. And they have two monks. They would like to 抬水喝
hmm,
to uh to come to try to work together to get to get a bucket with full of water. But then
hmm.
if you have three monks, then because this job couldn't be split by three
That's
parts
great. That's
like
great. Yeah,
equally.
yeah, yeah.
So it's only two people, but no one would
Mm,
won't be able to do two of them. Yeah,
mhm,
yeah. I agree. So if you want to apply these sayings into life, you will some find uh, contradicts, but then the way to solve it is context. You need to find on the word context what principle is applied. But I would say one thing more. It's like so it's all about like how to apply this saying into real life. But I would like to say because I think I'm a kind of a good learner. I think I'm good at learning at some point. We talk about intellectual or artistic. So I think sometimes it's not just about how to apply them, like how to apply. It's also about like how to gain from this thing. So I think it hints some knowledge because sometimes it doesn't involve all the information it had. For example, for the example I presented, uh, details one,
Mhm.
the two things are talking about two different things. Actually, they are two completely different things. When they say like the people they want to do big, they need to forget about the details. They're talking about your attitude towards what you are thinking and what your life will be. You need to think something big
Mhm.
before. That's all about like your attitude towards your life and towards the career you took on. And the second, when they talking about the winning or the failure depends on the uh, details. It's talking about like how to make a specific thing work.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So they are like so they're not so after that I want like to say they are contradicted from at the beginning, but actually they are not contradicted because they are talking two
Mhm.
different things. The first thing is about how to think big or how to find your like your loved career. It's like a your loved career, the big ambition. Maybe it should be laid before details. And
Mhm.
next thing is talking about after you have found your
Right.
ambition, your dream job, your career, how to make it work. Yeah.
Good. I love that analysis, and it actually relates to the next question that I want to ask you
Hmm.
because
Yeah.
um, context. We were throughout the course of our journey, we were in so many different contexts, physical contexts and cultural contexts, everything.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about and the specific. I want to ask you about your relations with the other students because we had students from over 40 countries on this
Hmm.
program, and I can imagine, and you can tell us if this is accurate or not. I can imagine that the specific cultural contexts of all of these students might have introduced some challenges in terms of your relationships with them. So crossing cultural borders was a big theme during the entire year because you all came from so many different places and because we were visiting so many different places. So have you got any thoughts to share about that aspect of your experience?
I wouldn't say that I'm an expert on cultural differences or cultural circumstances because I think this whole year is still a simplified context, a simplified circumstance on how to deal with those things. Because it's not like, for example, we don't have threat to our lives. We don't have to like argue for different rights, political, economical. So I think the culture itself, it has, for the most of cultures, it has its ideas of for understanding each other. But when it is involved with different things, then it will be completely different. So I would say the past year I had, I'm not that bothered by those things. But I would think about, sometimes I would think about, what if I'm not a visitor here? I'm a resident here. I need to live in Europe for a time. I need to live in Latin America for a period of time. Then what conflicts may there to happen? I think that questions very often when I stayed there. And after that, I would admit, yeah, I'm still too naive.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that I experienced enough things, but I'm ready to experience them. If I had a job opportunity or educational opportunity to experience them, I would love to. Yeah.
Have you got I appreciate you sharing all of that. Um, I think those are some very accurate and helpful kind of high level thoughts on this question. I'm wondering if you can make it a little bit more concrete for our listeners by sharing a story. If you've got a story, do you have
Hmm.
any examples of conflicts that you had with other students on the program that you think maybe had a cultural basis, and how did you work through those or it?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And uh, but I want to challenge that question a little bit. Because sometimes I found when I had conflicts with other students, I don't feel it that connected with culture itself. Because I learned a little bit, a little bit about Marxism from like high school because it's kind of mandatory in China, in Chinese like whole educational system. So it's very hard for us to throw away the economic status to talk about like conflicts, those things. So actually, the first day I got in Beret, the first month I got in Beret, I would find that actually I shared more things in common with the because Beret has something called need-based scholarship. They will like regulate, they will like mm, study your economics conditions to give you a scholarship on how much you need. So I think maybe the students who receive similar amount of scholarship, they share more in common, and sometimes they have some conflicts with other uh students in other economic status conditions. So back to that questions, when this asked me about conflicts happen with other students, I found that it's maybe not that cultural relevant. Sometimes I found that maybe based on like different economic conditions, different that will shape our past experiences and make us think things differently on different things. For example, when some because I got a bunch of scholarships, and then when some rich kids talking about like mm, we we need to like when some rich kids talking about like how to care for others, and at that time I would feel like uh, some discomfort and will have conflicts on arguing like who's actually caring about these people. When we talk about that questions, I don't feel like it's that cultural relevant. I feel
Mm.
like that's it's very economic relevant. So, and also the fact is that those conflicts doesn't always happen with me and the students from other countries and other cultures. I also had those conflicts with students from China, because apart from me, all the Chinese students they had the international education system and the experiences, and when they and I found that I find that we have so different values and thinking on money. For example, one conflict is that when I booked the hotels and the flight tickets for our weekend trips with one of my Chinese friends together in Beret, and she would say that it costs too much money, and he said not everybody is as rich as you. At that time, I was I was very what do I say? Very feel very weird because I think that's my line. Actually, my line. And the truth is that because I could earn money by my job. I have part-time job like all the year. So yeah, I could say that I had more money earned by myself, and I think I had complete control of them, and I would like spend them whatever I want, kind of. So, but this rich kid, maybe she only received money from her parents. So she had a very how do I say it's a very strange to me. It's very strange attitude towards money. Strange it means to me because she would like evaluate uh the way she evaluates money is so different from because from my point of view is that you got a lot of money, but you don't want to spend them on some way. From her point of view, it's just I'm rich. Actually, just like maybe I had some previous dreams or thoughts on this trip, and I want to make it happen. So I did my part-time job to earn my money. Actually, when I graduated from my high school, I didn't ask money from my family. All the money I earned is so I only use the money I earned. So I think that kind of like cultured me a very independent, some kind of because I'm a very easygoing person, so I kind of treat this not that important or very um planned before. It's very
Mm.
spontaneous, just yeah, flow as as my life. That's also a conflict. But when you're speaking of like really the cultural conflicts, it's very hard for me to recognize actually because if you're asking about like people from America, from Europe, we really have like some we will have some conflicts about cultural differences. I couldn't name one actually.
Mm.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the distinctions that you're drawing. It's funny. I just want to dig deeper into that, but unfortunately, we don't have much time left. And so
Oh,
I've just two more questions for you. Um,
first.
the first question is what's next for you? I mean, I know that you finished 2 years of university. Are you going back to Peking University this fall to do your third year of university? Is that your plan?
Yeah. I will do my third year in university, and and presently I'm interested in computational neurosciences, more
Mm,
specifically computational psychiatry. Yeah, it's like I'm interested in, for example, how depression happened in our brain, because we used to think it has some hormones or it got some m- med chemicals in our blood. But after that, new research have proven that's not the core reason, and we need to dig deep in structures of our brain. And
mm,
I have always been interested in how our brain are structured and how people are thinking. I'm always interested, and I think computational psychiatry is a more precise focus for me because I'm really interested in psychology. And during my past 4 years, I read books about clinical psychology, and I had friends from different countries. They are like they are medical doctor in this, and I really find this field fascinating. So I've kind of find it's like the combination of my interests and what I'm good at.
yeah,
Yeah.
good. It sounds so interesting, and I know that it sounds just from the description, it sounds very science based, but also human based as well, and so it does sound
Yeah.
absolutely perfectly suited to your talents and your skills. Um,
Thank
yeah, of course. The last
you.
question I have for you is it's kind of heavy a little bit, but also, I mean, well, whatever. I'll ask the question, which is the world that we live in right now is full of suffering, and a lot of that suffering is caused by humans, and it can be very easy to feel overwhelmed and also to lose hope. Have you got any words to encourage us about the future?
Yeah, that's a very heavy question. My encouraging words is no matter what happens tomorrow, you have today. So, I mean, back to the first question, what makes me me?
Mm,
The core answer to that question is love and art. And love implies your real connections with people around you, with the community. So, first sentence is love the people you cherish, and before it's getting too late. And the second is art. But art, is something like science. You never get the whole big picture of it. You just like enjoy yourself while advancing in it. So the second thing is that, because Nietzsche has something called, um, I don't know how to say it in English. It's just something like he think you should live and you need to live your life 10,000 times repetitively. So the second thing would be relevant to art, to Nietzsche, to relevantly live. It's mm, do something you really passionate about that you won't be regretful for. Because I think I used to be when I was a kid, I used to be a kid that dreams about the future, dreams about what happened in a long time. But now it's like I feel like the future is not that beautiful, or or I won't put much weight on future because sometimes before I lost my sleep sometimes because I feel like every time I go to bed when I close before I close my eyes, it feels like the end of my life sometimes because even before I feel like I was thinking about what if when I woke up I was a completely different person, or how could I prove that people wake up from this bed with a certain person who got on this bed. So all of these things I was just trying to say that the future is too unpredictable. You never know what happens next. So if you put too much weight on the future, on a beautiful imagination, a beautiful insight about the future, it's it's very hard to enjoy the life. Yeah. So sometimes you could be forced to do something. You could be inspired by maybe some insight in the future, but um, nowadays I would still think that the art makes me me, which means that the present is needs our more attention. So my two things, just concrete it a little bit. First is love the people you love around you before it's too late, and the second is do something you're really passionate about and enjoy the present.
Mm.
Thank you.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, Hanbin. Yeah, there's nothing else to say after that. Thank you for sharing that wisdom with us.
Yeah, and Jason, I'm very glad. I'm so happy to have this conversation with you because I don't know how many chances we could have this opportunity to talk, to chat, but I really appreciate it, and I'm so thankful for everything happened before, and I'm very enjoying this moment and remotely being with you together. Yeah,
Me too. Me too. It is amazing that we have the technology that we can connect across all of these thousands of miles, and such a treat to spend time with you. And I really feel like I could just sit down with you for hours and talk about really fun things. And I'm sad that the clock says that it's time to stop. Thank
yeah,
you, Hanbin, so much for. I'm so happy that you joined the program. Knowing you enhanced my year in so many ways, and I'm happy for you, and I'm excited for you. And I know you're cautioning us not to think too much about the future, but when I envision a future with you in it, and with you as a leader in this world, it makes me happy and excited.
thank you so much because I think when I finally confirmed my interest and did some research recently in the field I'm interested and passionate about. I truly, I have to admit that I envision what I will do in this field. I envision that, and yeah, as you said, yeah, yeah, I want to be a leader in this field. I want to use my knowledge, use my understanding of human of the world to make these parts and all the relevant parts to this in the real world better. Yeah, that's actually my invasion too, and
Mhm.
I'm so glad I'm so um happy and moved that you said it before I admitted it to you, because yeah, although yeah, sure, yeah, because although I told my encouraging words was not to think about the future too much, but I confirmed this kind of dream or ambition. Yeah, I still use my invasion definitely. Thank you so much for pointing that out, and I'm deeply moved. I'm deeply touched.
Well, my pleasure and my honor, and also thank you, Hanbin, for joining us.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Hanbin. If you did, please tell at least one friend about it. Give us a 5-star rating and follow the podcast. That will help others find us. Until next time, let's keep our heads clear and our hearts open.